Breakout candidates, Max. The season is very close. 15 days to Oregon football. What do you know? It's a beautiful time to be alive. 3 breakout candidates. Who's your first one? Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. When I say breakout candidate, I mean someone who's going to dramatically alter their impact in a positive way for this Oregon football team that was on the team last year. Like saying, Matthew Bedford is a breakout candidate. Well, that's not really breaking out because he comes in as a transfer with expectations there. Who's a breakout candidate on offense for you?
You're putting some extra
qualifiers
pressure on me because I had a true freshman in mind, but now I can't use that.
No, true freshman. No, true freshman works. True freshman works.
Be there last year.
Well, I made these imaginary rules and I can amend them as I please. It requires a supermajority of 1 vote in my 3, or I don't know, what's the square footage on a head? 1 foot by 1 foot, roughly that square footage. And as long as you have all the votes in there, which we do, an amendment can be made. So I accept the true freshman amendment.
Fair enough. Well, if we're starting on offense, I'm gonna have to go with Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of the state of Idaho. Excuse me. I mean, he's kind of the gimme pick there. We'll be honest.
Gimme? Maybe.
I don't know who else. I mean, other than like Evan Stewart and Dylan Gabriel, I don't know who else has had more hype this offseason than Kenyon on offense.
That's a Poncho. Won't be as flashy.
Sure.
But he's going to get the ball to Dylan Gabriel, we hope, every single play. It's never a problem until it is, like having health insurance. You don't need it until you really, really do. But I think for Sadiq, I love that pick because he's not like any tight end Oregon has ever had. Someone sent me a question about him one time and said, hey, I think the last time we had a tight end that versatile was Colt Lyerla. That's probably the right answer. But Colt Lyerla, Kenyon Sadiq, they're both versatile tight ends, but Max, these 2 guys are very different football players.
Yeah, so Kenyon Sadiq comes in at 6'3", 245 pounds, and I think that's where you have to start the discussion when you're looking at his offseason, Spencer. This is someone that came to Oregon in the neighborhood of 220 pounds, and the talking points were kind of like, I don't know if his body is necessarily where it needs to be for him to see the field as a true freshman. And fortunately for Oregon, they didn't need to have him on the field as a true freshman. They had Patrick Herbert and Terrence Ferguson. I think Oregon's kind of in the situation this year where they need to have him on the field, not because I think that Terrence Ferguson and Patrick Herbert aren't great players, but you don't want to get to 2025 and say, hey, Kenyon, you want to go be our tight end 1 and not have significant snaps under his belt. And I think he has really transformed his body. He's on the roster listed at 245. So I think that's much healthier in terms of where you want to be in that range, 250 plus sometimes even. He is a little bit shorter than some of the other tight ends on this Oregon roster, but I don't think that that's a negative. This is a guy who has some really good athleticism to his game. I saw he made a catch against Jeffrey Bossa in the last That Team Out West Hard Knocks documentary style that Oregon dropped, and he was pretty fired up. We've seen pictures of him hurdling people. We see him on those little jet sweeps, pop passes that we saw last year a couple times. So I'm really excited just to see how Will Stein gets this guy involved. He's been kind of mentioned in, I can't remember if it was in the same vein or like not compared, but like mentioned in the same sentence as like Travis Kelce or Brock Bowers. Maybe it was both, but the expectations are super high for Kenyon Sadiq. And with the way that coaches most of the time, at least at Oregon, are like pretty guarded with their excitement. I mean, Dan Lanning's obviously the most guarded because he's like the most critical of his team, but whether it's Stein or Maringer, the expectations are in the hype around Kenyon Sadiq.
Well, I mean, it's come from guys in that room. I asked T-Ferg about, the tight end room at Big Ten Media Days, and by the time we got to talking about Sadiq, he said, "Oh, that guy can be better than all of us." I'm like, I'm talking to a guy who's going to get drafted after this year. He's probably one of the top 3 to 5 tight ends in the 2025 NFL draft class. I haven't looked at any rankings. That just kind of be my guess. And like, he's someone who's going to play on Sundays, and he's sitting there saying that guy's going to be better than all of us. Like, that's some pretty high praise. So I love that pick on offense, and there's so many different ways that Sadiq can be used. There are a lot of weapons, so I don't know if he has a massive season, but in 25, when he's tight end 1, he could put up big time numbers and get the ball more, on carries, sweep screens, however they want to get him the football. But I want to go for one defensively, and then I'll give you a choice to pick an offense or defense for your third one, or for the third one of the segment. I'm gonna go Devin Jackson here. I keep seeing his name pop up. Questions get asked. Positive answers are given. The speed is there. Lanning, I think, had like several sentences of a quote that he gave on Devin Jackson. And as you know, Max, you're at practice. If you ask Lanning a question and you get several sentences in one of those pressers on a guy, he's got to be legitimately fired up. He doesn't give several sentences on anything.
Yeah, you can. That's kind of how it goes with a lot of coaches. If they're going on for a long time about somebody, it's someone that they think. I think you look at it a couple ways. Someone that you think they're confident is going to live up to that billing, or it's just someone that they really like and they feel like they've earned that attention. Like I'm thinking about back to my days when I was in Eugene covering the Ducks, asking Mario Cristobal about Braden Swinson. And he knew I was going to, it was kind of a weird interaction. He knew I was going to ask about, or Braden Swinson, excuse me. I think I said Braden Swinson.
No, you said Braden. You said Braden. Don't worry. My brain is mush at this point.
Who's at LSU. And he was excited. He knew I was going to ask him. He was like, oh yeah, no, go for it. Well, he didn't pan out at Oregon, so that's a different story for a different day. But the thing about Devin that I'm just excited about is how he's carrying himself. And it's not I don't think it's a cocky way, because he hasn't really talked to the media that much. I remember talking to him coming out of high school when I was covering him as a recruit, and he was, pretty humble, kind of soft-spoken, good interview, but it just feels like there's a different I'm gonna tap into some of the younger audience here. It seems like he's got aura. Maybe we can talk a little bit about moxie too, Spencer. I know you and I love that word. But is
he brat?
Okay, no. I have someone,
dude. I don't even know what that means.
One of my friends has a funny story with that word, but we're not going to get into that on the podcast. Good. But all that to say, I was watching the Devin Jackson press conference, and it just seems like he's got some really good confidence. And then to your point, Lanning talking about how he's playing fast in the right direction. You can have all that speed, but if you're not in the right place, they're not going to feel comfortable putting you out there on the field. So I love the Devin Jackson pick. I know my guy Jared Mack loves Devin Jackson as well, based on the conversations I've had with him.
Jared is the self-appointed, and I'd vote for him too, leader of the Devin Jackson fan club.
Yes, he is. So that'll be cool to see what he can do this year. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am as well. I think he's the number 3 linebacker pretty clearly. And if you have an injury to Justin Jacobs, which entirely possible, or Jeff Bossa, I think Jackson's the guy that steps up no matter what.